Don't worry, the sound issues have been fixed. Several of you have brought to my attention that the podcast intro has been too loud. I got with the gentleman that does the podcast intro, who is fantastic at what he does, and we have lowered it. There's not as much boom. So, especially if you are watching on YouTube, which we do not have the AI incorporated into the podcast intro, like on the audio experience channels, where it can deafen the sound and it mutes it in certain areas and lowers it. On YouTube, that was not the case, but it is fixed. So don't worry when the sound and the podcast intro play here momentarily, your ears are going to be good. But if this happens to be your first episode you've ever listened to, just be careful on some of the past ones if you're watching over on YouTube. Today, we are finishing up season 8. It will be the last episode of the season. As many of you know, we do not do December episodes. It has been a fantastic one, and the journey continues. We're already getting prepared to roll out season 9 with some great guests, some great topics. And today, we spend so much time, energy, effort, money trying to figure out how to increase new patients, grow sales, increase conversion, reduce headaches, all the goodies that we all want as business owners, employees out there. Obviously, you want to be paid. We spend so much time focused on why aren't we growing? If you are growing, how do we grow more? That we miss something that I'm going to be talking about today that happened to me in a business, in a practice the other day. I was on site and a treatment coordinator made a comment that I will never forget. And it moved this podcast right up past everything else that's been on my list for years. And it moved it up to where we are going to listen to it and do this one as the final episode of the season. Now, if you happen to be outside our niche, this so much applies to anybody that wants to grow sales, wants to grow their customer base, their referrals, increase how much you can charge while converting at a higher level. But as always, we're going to bring this message back to our niche with doctors that own their own businesses, orthodontists, dentists, and such. And we're going to be talking about something today that you need to set the tone heading into 2026. If you want to have and achieve as much success as all of you hopefully desire out there, today's message is going to get you thinking about something that may be going on when you're not looking, that is costing you growth, costing you profit, sales, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. We're going to talk about it and wrap up season 8. So if you're ready, let's go.
Welcome to the Brian Wright Show audio experience. A podcast dedicated to transforming lives, careers, and businesses. And now your host. He's a husband, father of 2, an international business and life coach, the founder and CEO of New Patient Group and WrightChat, and a consultant and global speaker for some of the finest companies in the world, such as Invisalign and many others. Now, here's your host, Brian Wright.
Quick shout out to the audience that was in San Francisco the other night. We picked up quite a few new listeners. I can already see the downloads from that audience going up. Just want to say thank you. It was amazing. You were very engaged and the feedback has been incredible. Thanks to the team that put that together and meant a lot. It was really great seeing a lot of you and appreciate you now starting to follow the podcast and really digging in to a lot of the goodies. Like I said at the top, today we're going to be diving in, and this is something I really think all of you going into 2026, this does not matter. There's all the stories and the things that I tell you today are going to come back to really one very simple theme, very simple thing, very simple strategy that really goes back to your culture, and it really goes back to your leadership and what kind of mindset do you have, and are you running an organization that's obsessed with data, or are you running an organization that is obsessed with people? And unfortunately, too many of you, as many of you know out there, many of you run organizations that are obsessed with data, not people. And one of my favorite things that I have ever said is that your demise begins, even if you don't feel it, even if you don't know it, your demise always begins when you start making decisions based on numbers rather than people, rather than innovation, rather than experiences. And there's so many stories I tell on stage that back all of that up, and we're working with customers. But today, when you're heading into 2026 and you're sitting there going, our production was down this year, or maybe it was up, and you want it to be even better. Sales were down, conversions down, whatever it may be, whatever that's down or whatever it is, even if you're up and you just want to improve it today is really going to be something that you're going to go, damn. Like I wonder how my employees feel about my product, my service, my clinical abilities for our niche out there, my chef's abilities, my cooking abilities. Whenever I'm not looking and they're out selling, because the story that I'm going to tell, and I'm gonna tell it now. That this was, I guess, a month ago now, 2 months ago now. I fly out and I do a treatment coordinator training inside a practice, and man, we had such a good time. We were laughing, and I love that. This is the best of best jobs when you coach people that want to be coached, because there is nothing like what our program, what we do, does not exist pretty much in any industry out there. It certainly doesn't exist inside our niche. And it was such a great training. We were laughing, joking around, but making progress. The role plays were great because they were taking the role plays seriously, but they weren't taking themselves too seriously. And that is definitely not the topic for today. More of a conversation for another time, but that is the most beautiful role play and practice session that is going to gain just positivity. It's going to gain traction, if you will. They're going to get better is when they can understand that the practice, the repetition is the best way to learn new skill sets and improve them over time as well. And if you take them seriously, while also having the ability to kind of make fun of yourself and joke around if you mess up, my goodness gracious, that just makes for such a good practice session. And we were having just one good role play after another. The ideas were soaking in. We dug deep into the iTarot, deep into the digital workflow, how to use it in a unique way in the TC exam, all kinds of other things, exam flow, consumer psychology, which many of you know when I talk about that, I mean knowing what to say, when to say, how to say, why to say. And if you can master those four things of psychology, oh, it has such an amazing impact on sales because it has such an amazing impact on the experience you're able to deliver people that then choose to buy from you and buy from you at a higher price. Well, we get to the financial presentation, and there really was no pushback the entire day. It was all progress. Even the questions, sometimes you get, whether it be from an audience on stage or when you're coaching, you get these questions and you can tell they come from a place and where they don't want to learn anything. It's an antagonistic question to try to stump you or try to prove you wrong or whatever. And then there's people you're coaching that ask real legitimate questions because they want to learn and they want to get better. So they were asking great questions all day. Well, we get to the financial presentation, and this wasn't even necessarily pushback, but something came out of the treatment coordinator's mouth that I will never forget. And it literally moved. I think I said this on the front end. It moved something. I had all kinds of ideas how to finish this season, all kinds. And when I heard her say this to me, it literally moved this above ideas in my notes that have been on the podcast or in the podcast notes for years, or at least months, went right to the top. Because nothing else, what I'm about to tell you, everybody, nothing else matters. There is no marketing you're going to do, no website design, no pay-per-click ad, no training of your people, nothing that is going to be able to overcome what you're about to learn. And then hopefully your mind goes, I think I said this a minute, hope your mind's like, damn, are my people like that? And please do not make the mistake or the assumption that they're not, because I have already talked to this doctor and office manager about it, and they were like, damn, we never knew, right? It never even crossed our mind that this could be something that's holding us back. Well, this treatment coordinator, and it wasn't like hey, let's stop the training. I've got something to talk about. It was almost just like a little under the breath, not shout out loud, kind of like just passing. I easily could have missed it. And she goes, Brian, it's not like we're selling washers and dryers here. And I go immediately, just right to the front of my mind. I'm like, all right, hey, pause, hold on just a second. what did you mean by that? What's going on? Talk to me. She goes, well, a washer and dryer, that's something people need, right? What we do here in orthodontics, it's aesthetics. It's wants, like it's not a necessity or anything. So, it's been a great training today, and these things are certainly going to help. And we learned all kinds of things that we've never been taught before, never even thought of. But in the end, it's just we're not selling things people need. And I turned to the other couple treatment coordinators. I'm like, do you all feel this way too? They're like, yeah. We're data pounded all the time. That's all we seem to talk about here is data, 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 finite, finite, finite. Are you hitting your targets, your targets, your targets, your targets? And it's like this ringing in our head. And it's just we're not that motivated because we don't really sell something that people need. And I say, guys, hold on just a second. What do you mean they don't? What do you mean they don't need this? I'll tell you a story right now. And this is a story I told them. And now, obviously, I'm telling all of you too. But, a long time ago, and this is something that I use frequently on stage, and I use it in different ways. But a long time ago, when we started, shout out, and as I shoot this is going to be coming out, I think Monday. I think it's maybe the last Monday of November, or second to last Monday of November. I'm not sure when it's going to be coming out, but if it comes out when I think it's going to come out, I'll be leaving Friday for Hawaii to go stay with the great Dr. Sadia Nayak and his wife, who's a GP. So Sadia is an ortho. His wife Nicole's a GP. Going to go stay with them for a week, travel all the islands and all the practices, and wrap up what's been a great year with them. Well, the very first time I ever went on site, and I'll never forget this story ever, because this is, and it'll lead me back to the ultimate point of today. Is here you have I'm sitting in the treatment coordinator exam, and here you have this heavy set Hawaiian lady. She's probably in her late 20s, early 30s, I'm guessing. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but that's what I'm guessing. And she didn't have any confidence because at the time the treatment coordinator spent zero time getting to know her, zero time building relationship in any form or fashion. There was no like or trust. So when she had left, I did it. So I started asking her, and I found out where she worked. She works at Walmart because she didn't have confidence to go get a better job. She doesn't really date because she doesn't have confidence to date. She's very insecure about her body. She's insecure because she doesn't like the job she has. She doesn't make a lot of money. She's been bullied her entire life. Like, listen to this lady's life, right? And treatment off topic, but treatment coordinators out there, if you walk away and you know that about your prospective customer, your prospective patient, the sales take care of themselves. It's why you can't control the sale, but you sure could control the things that I just talked about. So by the time, and there's a lot more to this story, but she ends up starting treatment there. And, here's a lady that basically, just because of her teeth in many ways, she feels horrible about herself. And there's other things too, but I will tell you, if you're very unhappy about the way you look in one area, that easily can portray and make you feel horrible about yourself and think you look like crap in all areas. I mean, there's all kinds of psychology around that. But here's a lady that by straightening her teeth literally transforms her life. And if you're watching, if you're somebody that isn't in our niche in orthodontics and other doctors that own their own business, this is, a lot of times the consumer will think orthodontics, as an example, is just for aesthetics. But even, and I was talking to these treatment coordinators about it, is let's say, as an example, like this lady, the Hawaiian lady that I was just talking about, for her, it was aesthetics. Now, her teeth, I remember them, I'll never forget, because Sadia came in there and said, hey, because they did the outcome simulation. It was something new that we had implemented. And the simulation was if she did jaw surgery. Otherwise, there's no chance she's getting there. Well, she didn't really give a damn about it getting there perfect, like the functionality and all that stuff. That wasn't really what she cared about. She just wanted them to look prettier. And I remember, they went in, did the adjust outcome and moved the teeth to where they think they could get them without surgery. She starts, and it's such a good. I'd use that story in so many different ways, because a lot of you out there, perfect to you is not perfect to the person you serve, and if you forget that, you're going to lose sales all the time. This is why nobody gives a damn, typically, about what they need until you've convinced them you're the place to buy what they want. And this is especially true in our niche now, because the amount of people that are shopping. Nobody pays attention to what they really want. Nobody leverages technology to show them how beautiful they can make what they want. It's such a leaky hole. And that was a big part, actually, what we worked on when I was with these treatment coordinators that I'm referencing. So I tell that story about, okay, here's a lady that doesn't give a damn about functionality. So let's say it is a want, right? They want it. Can't you see how much this lady's life could be completely transformed? She could go get a job she's currently too scared to interview for. She could go and ask a guy that maybe works at Walmart with her that she thinks is cute and is afraid to ask him out on a first date because she doesn't have the confidence to do it. But meanwhile, they're meant to be together. But it never happens because she doesn't take the first step. Maybe it's a single mom out there that is barely making ends meet and is afraid to go into an interview that could make her more money because they're lacking the confidence because of how their teeth look. And this is, I think I was saying this earlier. I don't know if I finished the point. Like, if you're outside our niche, like this is why the orthodontic world, it's needed. It's not, yeah. Sometimes, is it a want like I'm talking about now? Yeah, but it's still needed. I mean, think about all the scenarios that you all do out there that literally transform people's lives by making them feel better, giving them more confidence, allowing them to smile, whatever it is. And this is for, obviously, with kids, it's more functionality, right? With a lot of times with adults, even when they need the functionality, a lot of times for them, it's more aesthetics and the want. But the point is that, look, guys, if your people don't believe in what they're selling, if they're not passionate about what they're selling, if they're not passionate about your clinical abilities, your abilities as a chef, right? You get the analogy, a million other types of businesses. If you have people that are responsible for selling your product, your service, your skill sets, that don't believe in it, that thinks it's optional, not needed, no big deal if they don't buy, there is nothing that you are ever going to do marketing wise outside your doors, training, marketing, whatever the hell inside your doors, if that's the case. And meanwhile, many of you out there, the only thing you know how to do is go do marketing, right? That's why, and I say it over and over again, there isn't a business on the planet that doesn't need coaching inside their doors, from leadership coaching to sales, hospitality, psychology, all the stuff, verbiage, presentation. You all need it. It will all produce a bigger return than anything you will ever do. But convincing you of it is almost impossible, because most of the time it fixes things you can't put your finger on. Right? If your new patients are down, your new customers are down, and immediately what comes to your mind is marketing, marketing, marketing. Meanwhile, your people are apathetic. They're just blah. In other words, you wonder why you can't charge a higher price or convert at a higher level, is you got a treatment coordinator that thinks a washer and dryer is something that people need, but what you offer, yeah, it's just a choice. No big deal. Hey everybody, Brian Wright. Let's step away from today's episode. Hope you're enjoying it and hoping the message is resonating, because it is so powerful what we're talking about today. And so many things that you're going to be doing in your office are not going to work unless you're able to grasp this and create the right culture through extraordinary leadership like we're talking about. Look, we're coming up on the year's end. And the biggest difference I have noticed from the people that keep exceeding their goals, right, hitting them and surpassing them, versus the ones that just talk about wanting to and rather complain about their problems, is taking action. I want all of you, now is the time, whether it be our great digital marketing program, our great coaching program, or a combination of both. Take action before year's end. The beauty is we're a tax deduction. You can 1099 us, so you can either pay the IRS or you can invest in us. Let us make 2026 the greatest year you've ever had in so many different fronts. I'm going to put a link in the podcast description below so you can schedule with our VP of Sales, Brian Lewis. It'll go right to his calendar. I will do everything in my power when that comes in and you schedule that to be on that call with you. I love getting to know what the people that are going to become our family members. But guys, take action. All the problems that you have are solvable with what we do. All of them, not 99% of them, all of them. But you've got to put in the effort. You can't just talk about it. I look forward to welcoming you into our mastermind group, our great digital marketing and coaching programs. Take action. Schedule a consultation with us. Let us spend some time analyzing your business A to Z. Prescribe the solutions going into 2026 that you need. Take action, everybody. We look forward to welcoming you into our family. There's so many great things that we can do together with you being part of the New Patient Group family. All right, so take action. Let's have a great 2026 together. And now let's get back to today's episode. Guys, and this is why so much of it always goes back to culture. It always goes back to leadership, because so many of you out there are so data driven, so data focused that you're not motivating anybody. That you're missing the most obvious things, this being one of them, is that if your head is in the production clouds, the collections clouds, all the data, whatever the hell it is, you are going to miss the fact that the reason why those numbers aren't more in your favor is because you have a team of people that are unmotivated, that think what you sell is not needed. This is a major, major culture problem through lack of leadership inside organizations. Because your people have to believe in your vision. They have to believe in where you're taking your organization. They have to believe in your product. And one of the things that we teach all of you out there. Now, whether or not you do it is a different story. Like, you're not required to do it by any means, whether you're a customer or not. But what we teach on here is the recipe of being able to charge more for what you do and convert better than all the other opinions they seek at a lesser price. Right? Also, what we teach on here is the recipe, all the ingredients to that recipe of turning customers, turning patients into fans. And that goes way beyond your product. Great food, great clinical outcomes do not create fans, right? Those are satisfied customers, satisfied patients. They're not fans. There's a whole nother world that goes into it. So by you charging the most, converting the highest, and turning your customers, your patients into fans, that recipe translates into far more referrals, which means a lot less advertising dollars. And referral business is always better than random Joe searching 8 practices or 8 restaurants or 8 hotels online on Google. Your conversion will always be better. They're easier to deal with and at a higher price. But again, are you required to charge the most? No, but this is the recipe on this show. This is the recipe with the New Patient Group program. This is the recipe if somebody brings me in outside our niche. This is the recipe. And guys, part of that recipe is you understanding as a leader, you've got to motivate your people. You've got to look beyond the data, and you have to be able to ask yourself, are your people, are they passionate about the data? Or are they passionate about your product and your customer and your patient? And if you're running an organization that's finite-minded, can't get your head out of the freaking data, only make decisions based on the data rather than experiences, innovation, and people, this is what's going to happen to you, because this is what this practice is. Very finite. Very finite. Very head in the data, not on people, innovation, experiences like I was just talking about. And it leads to unmotivated, unpassionate, lack of passion, just apathetic, blah salespeople, which is the treatment coordinators, the receptionists inside our niche, or whatever you call your salespeople outside our niche. Waiters, VP of sales, director of business development, whatever the heck it is. Your people have to believe in it. They've got to be excited about it. They've got to be pumped to show up to work every single day. And guys, in our niche out there, it's so easy to forget, especially when your numbers aren't the way you want them. There's a lot of things from a leadership standpoint that become really hard when the numbers are not the way you want them. I get it. Been there, done that. Right? And that's still something that I struggle with. And it's much easier to coach you not to do it than it is to not do it myself. But man, whether the numbers are there or not, you've got to have people that are passionate about what you're selling. And you all out there, you can rest. I think you should rest in, very peacefully at night, that if your numbers, this is where I was going with this a minute ago, if your numbers are not the way you want them, this is why this is hard, because if you're transforming lives and that kid gets to ask a girl out for the first time because he has confidence now, or that single mom gets to go to a job interview that she otherwise never would have gone to or been unlikely to go to, or dates for the first time, since, husband passed away. You think of all the scenarios, and we get all businesses. And I know this is on our niche. Go to any event. All you hear these speakers talk about is marketing, 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 get more new patients and profit. And this is the industry trends. You don't hear anything about innovation experiences. It's very minute. It's in the vast minority when you hear things that we talk about on here. You all change lives, and your employees better damn well believe in that and understand that. And if you all would get your head out of the freaking data clouds, whether you're doing good or bad, and start talking about these things, the stories of how you've changed lives. The clinical assistants that we call ortho coaches out there, throughout the treatment journey, you should be paying attention to this stuff, engaging in a way to know how you're changing lives. One, that's going to give you an in, ask for reviews and video testimonials and things like that. But the other one is you should be so damn proud of yourselves that you got people to say, here's my money in the first place, when they have 5 other practices they're shopping to. And again, any other business, you should be proud of it. I've never done a podcast on what I'm about to say. I don't know if I ever will, but I think we all forget, and I know I do. You should be really proud of yourself when somebody says, here's my money that I've worked my butt off for, and I'm going to give you some of it to come help me. When they have all kinds of choices, information overload, blah, 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 you get the point. I know for us, it's such a huge honor. All of the customers, clients listening out there, it's a huge honor every single month to have you, because I know we get to help transform your life and your career in your business. And man, that means so much to us. And that's why we're passionate about what we do. It's why we're successful in what it is that we do. And that's how I want all of you to look at it. It's not about the production. And Clay, yeah, do you want to exceed your goals and take home more than you want and blah, blah, blah? Of course, we all do. But first and foremost, as we wrap up this season, we wrap up this year, and heading into 2026, one of the best marketing investments I think you all can make is having this conversation and making sure that your people understand it's an open forum. Everything truthful goes. Nobody's going to get punished for it. And find out how they feel about whatever it is that you sell out there, and make sure they show up as passionate as you about the product. Now, they're never going to be as passionate as you about the business because you're the business owner, but they certainly can be just as passionate about the product, the service, Invisalign, whatever it may be. They could be passionate about that and say to themselves, this family, by them buying from us, we can make a real difference in their life. And guess what? A much bigger difference than a washer and dryer. And this, everybody, what I'm telling you today in this episode is exactly the conversation I had with these treatment coordinators. And they now look at it totally different. Totally different. I didn't have data conversations with them because that doesn't motivate anybody. It doesn't get anybody to work harder, dream bigger, advance their career, make themselves more money, your business more money. It doesn't do it. But what I'm talking about you today, this is you should be talking to your own people this way to inspire them, to motivate them, to get them to see it a different way. Because here are treatment coordinators that sit in the practice all day, every single day, that couldn't see what I consider an obvious viewpoint from really an outsider that just happens to be in your industry now for 13 years as I do this episode. I see how you transform lives. And if I walked into your practice, I would be so damn passionate about getting that family to say yes to me rather than the other four or five practices that I can pretty much promise you they're shopping for. I would be so passionate. And guess what? And you can't forget this. If you don't think the family can feel that lack of passion, that apathy, you are sorely mistaken. You are kidding yourselves. That family absolutely can tell. And I told them this too as part of the coaching. And as we just say, let's throw the rest of the agenda in the trash today because this is what we're talking about. Because the agenda, like I told all of you, the agenda doesn't matter. The ideas don't matter. Nothing matters if you don't have people that are passionate about what it is they're selling, period. You can throw everything else down the toilet. Is that family absolutely knows if you're excited, passionate, innovative, jubilant, you know, joyful. List goes on and on. They can read it just like they can read that you're boring, apathetic, blah. Buy from it. And then you wonder, which this doctor had this conversation, is like, I want to charge more. Every time we do it, we fail. And I said, look, I wouldn't look at it as a failure as long as you're looking at and finding things to build upon. It's not a failure. But this is one of those things. It's like if you're going to be, and this goes back in, I was talking earlier in the recipe that we teach all of you out there, is if you're going to be higher priced, whether it be the most expensive or close, I would say even in between, you better damn well have these things that I'm talking about today and everything else we talk about on this podcast buttoned up. And when the economy is crap, you've got to have these things buttoned up 10 times better. This is, I've said it for years, is that good economies will hide your faults. They will make you feel good about yourself because when the economy's good, people have more money to spend, they're less picky, and they shop less, period. So you can have a ton of holes and still get closes. And then when the economy goes bad, all those same holes exist. And then all of a sudden, your numbers tank, and it is no different. Right? It's like, okay, what are we doing wrong? We got to do more marketing, got to do this. No, you're doing the same things you did when things were, or at least when you thought they were going well. It's just now the economy sucks. People don't have money. They're more picky. They shop more, which means you have to be 10 times better at everything we teach all of you out there. Otherwise, it won't work. They're going to go to the cheaper one. So if you're unable to sell the value, and one of the reasons or one of the ways that you sell value is through this excitement, joy, happiness, positivity, psychology, again, knowing what to say, when to say, all the stuff I talk about on here. Because you can pay for marketing for the rest of your lives. You can train your people like this practice did with their treatment coordinators. You can train your people for the rest of your lives. None of it means squat if your people don't understand that what you sell changes lives. That's true for our periodontists out there. It's true for our oral surgeons out there. It's true for our dentists out there. It's certainly true for the large majority of who our customer base is the orthodontists out there. It's true for the plastic surgeons out there. And it's true for every other doctor that's a business owner. And it's true for all of you out there that are business owners and entrepreneurs, regardless of industry. You have to have passionate people, and passionate people do not come from finite leaders that talk nothing about experiences and all the stuff we talk about on here. And you just want to jam numbers down people's throats. It will kill relationships, crush experiences, and crush innovation. And you'll wake up tomorrow wondering what the hell happened to my business. I hope this rings true to all of you, as we head into the new year. An exercise I have for you out there is to talk to your people and find out if they understand how much they are transforming lives, because they are. Your clinical team in the back, ortho coaches, whatever description we change them into, they do it a little bit differently than the treatment coordinator or the receptionist, but you all do it in your own way. And you better damn well have your team on board with that. You better talk to them the way I talked to you today, because this is how I talk to them. And those 3 treatment coordinators are completely looking at it differently now and showing up more excited than ever before. And that in itself will trump and kick any idea, right? They could go in there excited and do everything wrong and have a better conversion than go in there and try to remember all the things to do and all the scripts and all the digital workflow and the iTero machine and all this stuff and be apathetic. Your conversion is going to be less. Got to be passionate. You have to have passionate people. That starts with you as a leader. It starts with the culture that you create inside your organization. Motivate your people, inspire your people. You all change lives. And we're going to leave it on that to wrap up season 8. Have a great Christmas. Ho, ho, ho to all of you. And we will be back with season 9 to kick off in the beginning of January. Until then, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Brian Wright Show. And as always, give us a thumbs up, make some comments on YouTube, share this with anybody that wants to transform life, career, and or business. Audio Experience channel, as always, 5-star review and whatever outlet you're watching this on would mean the world. We'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.